Happy New Year and welcome Pagan Pages readers to the video edition of Magical Arts. This month, we are going to continue the series that we began last month, A Witch's New Year, a new mantle of power. And this month, we're going to talk about the light of the winter solstice. Now, before y'all think, oh my goodness, we're already a month behind. Yule, the winter solstice was December, and now this is being posted in January issue. What I would like to say to you is to just breathe. And I want you to remember that each of these sabbats moves one into the other. So even though we have officially passed the point of the winter solstice, we're going to think about what it means to carry that light forward. We're going to be thinking about what it means to actually use that energy in a way that can allow us to move more fully into what is coming ahead. So today we're going to talk about the energy of the winter solstice as it flows into the brilliance and the light of 2021. We've had a lot of things going on this year, and as we approach the winter solstice, we have a variety of different ways in which Yule slash the winter solstice may be celebrated. I'm starting us off with this first thought and a celebration typically used, the Holly King and the Oak King, the story of the Holly King and the Oak King. The thought that one rules half of the year and the other rules the remainder of the year. So we have points that are marked, the winter solstice and the summer solstice. These two kings are brothers. And at the time when the winter solstice begins to take hold and burgeon and the light is beginning to flow again, this is the battle that occurs between Oak and Holly King. And the Holly King at this point, his light is waning, his strength is waning. He gained his power and he claimed his power at the time of the summer solstice. And during that time, he has slowly, just as the light itself has also been dwindling, his energy and his power has begun to fade. So now at the time of the winter solstice, we have his brother, the Oak King, who battles with the Holly King, and the outcome is such that the Oak King wins, and he rules this light half of the year, this point from the winter solstice where the light is beginning to renew itself, where everything is growing once again, where we are feeling the quickening of action. And he is holding dominion over that part of the year. And at the peak of his power, which is the summer solstice, at that point, the battle ensues again, and the Holly King is the victor because he is the king who will rule that second half of the year, which could be considered the dark half of the year. Now, when I say light and dark, I don't want us to think in terms of the usual semantics of one being more positive than the other, because it really is just a matter of polarities. When we say light and we say dark, if we think about it, on a stream of light and color, the brilliance of white holds the energy and the patterning of everything that is black within it. And black is just simply the absence of light. So when we have these two things, they are actually polarized opposites, but each is drawing one from the other. So when we think about the Holly King and the Oak King, instead of thinking of them as necessarily a metaphor, and as you see from this image that I chose, I want you to think of that as being the space within you that is the brilliance of light, and it is only seen because of the darkness that is within you as well. And the darkness is only recognized because of the light that is within you. That blossoming, that burgeoning of light is only able to occur. That blossoming, that burgeoning of light of the winter solstice is only able to occur because of the darkness that is held within that space. And both contain the same vibrancy of positive space, negative space, the dynamics and the vibrations that are held within that, if you're looking or thinking of it in a color scale. But just because one is slightly more prominent than the other, that enables that second thing to be seen. So, when we are thinking about the winter solstice, what I'd also like us to think about is the energy that the winter solstice brings. So, typically, the winter solstice occurs somewhere between December 21st and 22nd. It is a point of welcoming the light. It is calling to what will be quickened. So, we know that as we move towards Imbolc, which is the next one that we will be celebrating in February, uh, everything that is beneath the ground that has gone dormant during these winter months is actually starting to percolate. It's starting to quicken. It's starting to have the vibrancy of light and life infused within it again. And it is also, I like to think of it as being a point of honoring the past of darkened introspection. So the darkness I equate with during the winter months. If it is cold, you tend to be inside more. You might spend more time keeping yourself warm, keeping yourself huddled by the fires. You might keep yourself engaged in books, engaged in all those things that are going to bring about a newness that can then be used as you're moving forward into the light months ahead. The energetic component that we see with this is a rekindling of the fires of will. So within us, as that light is being renewed, and as the winter solstice becomes a place that moves from the shortest day into the increasingly long and lengthening of the day, we have that rekindling of the fires of will within ourselves as well. And we can call upon these fires as we are moving forward towards the point of the summer solstice, which is the apex of light. We can begin to call and to really claim those fires that are productive within us, those fires that move us forward, that move us towards action. This is also a place of preparing for the planting of what will be. So just as in the coming months ahead, and we celebrate with Imbolc, and we celebrate with the vernal equinox, we will also be celebrating within ourselves those things that we wish to plant. This is the spring planting that will be coming. And what is it that we wish to bring forward into the months ahead? How do we wish to change as we move through this new cycle of this year, this new cycle and this new wheel of each of these sabbats? And it's also a time where we can find the healing of what has been held in scrutiny. Because whenever we retreat into introspection, we also have an opportunity to take a closer look at those things that we are perhaps a bit uncomfortable with, or those things that we're not sure how productive they really are towards our spiritual and our evolutionary growth. So we have an opportunity with this new light, with this ability to transform, to transmute, to change, to take in what it is that we have been looking at so closely, and to find the healing that is needed in that space. So, some actions that we could use to honor this time of the year, this season. I always like to do some sort of divination for the new year. I have a few tarot spreads that I'll be posting on my own website and on my blog, The Magical Pen, that will be and can be used for kind of laying out what the new year is going to look like for you. So, choosing something that you are comfortable with by way of getting more information, Some people like to use runes. You can also do what I call contemplative listening, which means just sitting quietly, asking the question of your higher self, of those guides and guardians and deities and beings that you work with. What is my path for this year? What is it that as the light begins to blossom within me that I wish to see cultivated and bloom to its fullest potential? It's also a nice time to engage in memories. So, beginning a journal for 2021, and also you could power up a crystal as a record keeper of the various points or markers along the sabbats and the wheel of the year that bring you back to this point next year of the winter solstice. So, when I say power up a crystal as a record keeper, it's engaging that crystal, informing it of its intention of holding the memories of specific times and events that you wish it to hold. As far as what crystal to pick, I'm really not going to be fussy about this. My thought would be pick what you align with. I know you can go to any book and find all kinds of assignations and correspondences, but the bottom line is if it doesn't mean anything to you, and if that particular crystal is something that calls out to you. And even though in the volumes of books you may have, they don't consider that to be a crystal that is a record keeper, I say, who cares? You can intention it, you can have it hold, it can be whatever crystal calls and speaks out to you. Because if you use something and if you use tools in particular that have meaning for you, they are going to align and be more in resonance with you than trying to force something just because you read it in a book. Cleaning house. So we think of spring as being the time of house cleaning, but this is also a really good time as you begin a new year and as the light is beginning to reveal all of the cobwebs in the corners to you can physically clean your house, but also to psychically and energetically cleanse your house. You can do this with a smudging stick. You can use a candle. You can use a drum. There are a variety of techniques. Once you have cleansed your house, you are going to want to set up some sort of wards or protection for your house. These can take the form of crystals being placed in specific places in your house. It can be watchers that you create or you call to. It can be guardians that you see actually inhabiting particular points in your house. It can be spirit animals. It can be whatever you wish it to be. And then after you have gone through those steps, I would actually rededicate your home, rededicate your space to being a space of sanctuary, to being a place of healing, of quiet, of serenity, and of sanctuary for you. And most importantly, rededicate it as a space of being sacred for you. And talking about resolutions, because resolutions are something, we all are familiar with as being, things that we do for the new year. So I would say one of the important things would be to make resolve about your physical health. Also, to take time to bolster your spiritual health as well, and taking time for self-care. So all of these might outpicture in that you might want to take a look at your diet and make some changes to it. I'm not saying use a diet. I am saying make behavioral changes so that you are choosing those foods that are optimally going to allow you to move physically, move mundanely, and ultimately then move energetically in a way that is going to produce health, that is going to keep you sound of mind, keep you sound of spirit, sound of body. And bolstering your spiritual health. Perhaps look into something that you would like to add to your spiritual practice. Maybe it's something that you have thought about doing for a long time, but you just haven't gotten around to studying or adding into your practice. Now is the time that the light is beginning to fill within you and you're feeling active and you're feeling more energetic and you're feeling more energized to explore. Explore some things, maybe something that you hadn't thought about before that would capture your interest. Now you are going to look at it from a slightly different perspective. And even if it's something that seems rather weighty, in what it is you may have to do to begin those studies or to try that new way of casting a circle or creating a ritual or even just trying your hand at actually writing a ritual if you've never done it before. You might find that it might be a bit cumbersome at first, but remember, nothing well earned is gained without a lot of effort. And taking time for self care, which means giving yourself those mental breaks that you need, prioritizing what is important to you. These are all things that fall into the realms of that flow of movement from the Sabbat of the winter solstice coming up into the place of Imbolc and what that energy means when we arrive at that place in February. So for next month, we are going to actually take a look at MBulk. We're going to go through some of the same thoughts and suggestions and ideas. I'm going to keep the format, fairly much the same, so that then as you go back and you re-listen to these or you relook at the slides in the PowerPoint, you'll see that there is definitely a theme. There's definitely a consistency. And that's what we're going for when we are talking about this new witch's year and a new way of claiming the power that is held within that year as well. So for now, this is Robin Fennelly, Magical Arts Video Edition. I wish you well. I wish for you 2021 to bring you joy, health, prosperity, and all of those things that you wish for. And most importantly, I hope that you are able to spend some time with friends, family, and loved ones without fear of anyone becoming ill. So for now, have a wonderful month, and I will see you in February. Bye, and blessed be.